He was born a slave. His legs were broken by his master as a boy, deliberately, to remind him of his place in the world. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing. Not his body, not his freedom, not his future, and yet, by the time he died, kings, senators, and emperors crossed the Roman Empire to sit at his feet and learn from him. His name was Epictetus. And he had one rule for the mind, one single rule, that if you truly understood it, would stop overthinking immediately. In this video, I am going to tell you the story of Epictetus and the single philosophical principle that he built his entire life around, not as a history lesson. As a tool you can use the moment this video ends. 3 things: the story behind the rule itself, and the daily practice that makes it work in real life. Stay until the 3rd part. Most people know the idea, almost nobody applies the practice. Epictetus was born around 50 AD in a small city in what is now Turkey. His mother was a slave, which made him, by law, a slave from birth. He never chose this. It simply was. He was eventually sold to a man named Epictetus, a powerful secretary in the court of Emperor Nero in Rome. Wealthy, connected, and, by all historical accounts, cruel. There is a story, and scholars believe it to be true, that one day Epictetus began twisting Epictetus's leg, testing it, tightening his grip. Epictetus looked up at him and said, without anger, without fear, "You are going to break it." Epictetus continued and broke it. Epictetus simply said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it? No screaming, no rage, no begging, just observation, as if it had happened to someone else entirely. This was not performance. This was not pretending to feel pain. This was a man who had trained his mind so completely that he had learned to separate himself from what was happening to his body, because Epictetus had understood something that most people spend their whole lives missing. There are 2 worlds, the world outside you and the world inside you, and you only ever had real power over one of them. Epictetus wrote this idea into the very first line of his most famous work, a short book called the Enchiridion, which means the handbook. He put it first because without it, nothing else he taught would make any sense. Some things are in our control and others are not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion. In a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, reputation, command, whatever are not our own actions. Let that sit for a moment, because that is the entire philosophy. Every single thing Epictetus ever taught flows from those 2 sentences. In your control, your thoughts, your choices, your effort, your values, how you respond to whatever life puts in front of you, not in your control. What other people think of you, whether you get the job, whether the relationship works, whether the traffic moves, whether you get sick, whether the news is good or bad. Now, here is where this becomes specifically about overthinking. Overthinking is almost always the mind spending its energy on things it cannot control. Replaying the conversation, rehearsing the argument that hasn't happened, worrying about what they think, anxious about outcomes you cannot determine. every single one of those thoughts has the same problem. They are not yours to solve. Epictetus described the overthinking mind as a dog tied to a moving cart. The cart moves whether the dog runs willingly or fights the rope, but the dog that fights exhausts itself, suffers, and arrives at the same place as the dog that simply trots alongside. The question he taught his students to ask about every thought that caused them suffering was this: is this up to me? 3 words, that is the entire rule. If the answer is yes, act. Immediately, decisively, without overthinking the act itself. If the answer is no, release it. Not through force of will, not through gritted teeth, but through the genuine recognition that fighting it is as useful as being furious at the weather. Now, most people hear this and nod, and are back in their heads within the hour, because knowing a rule and training a rule are completely different things. Epictetus did not just teach. He drilled his students with a daily practice that turned the dichotomy of control from a concept into a reflex. He called it the discipline of desire. And it takes 5 minutes. Every morning, before the day begins, you sit in silence and name 3 things that are most likely to pull your attention into territory you cannot control. Perhaps what your colleague thinks of your presentation, whether the decision you are waiting on goes your way, how a difficult conversation is going to unfold. You name them, and for each one, you ask the question, is this up to me? And for each one that is not, you say aloud or write it down, this is not mine, I release my claim on it. Done every morning for 30 days, Epictetus taught that this practice rewires how the mind assigns importance. What once felt catastrophic begins to feel like weather. Something to be noticed, not something to be consumed by. He lived the rest of his life as a free man. Not because anyone legally freed him first, though eventually they did after Nero died, but because Epictetus had already been free for years before the paperwork arrived. Free in the only place that has ever mattered. Inside. After Nero died, the world around Epictetus shifted. His master lost his position, his household scattered, and quietly, without ceremony, Epictetus was freed. He moved to Nicopolis, a small Greek city on the Adriatic coast, and opened a school. Nothing grand, a room, some benches, the door left open, and people came. First students, then scholars, then senators, then the Emperor Hadrian himself, who wrote to Epictetus asking for an audience. A man who had owned nothing, not his body, not his freedom, not even his name, had become the most sought-after mind in the Roman world. Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life. He never married for wealth, never sought a title, never moved to Rome, though Rome came to him. He lived simply, he taught daily, he died, by all accounts, at peace. because he had done every morning for decades exactly what he taught his students to do. He had named what was his and let go of everything else. Epictetus never wrote a single word himself. Everything we have, the Enchiridion, the discourses, was recorded by his student Arrian, who sat in his lectures and wrote down what he heard, which means what we have are not polished philosophical essays. They are the raw spoken words of a man who had tested every idea he taught against the harshest possible life. And the very first thing he chose to say, the first idea he wanted every student to carry, was that one distinction: what is mine and what is not. If a man with broken legs in a Roman slave quarter could master that question, perhaps we can too. Here is what I want you to try tomorrow morning. Before you check your phone, before anything, sit for 5 minutes and name 3 things pulling at your mind right now. For each one, ask it: is this up to me? And for those that are not, say it out loud: this is not mine. 5 minutes. That may be the most useful thing you do all day. Next week on this channel, we move east into the world of the Tao Te Ching and what Laozi wrote about the art of letting go 2,000 years ago on the other side of the world, and why it connects to everything Epictetus taught. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if someone in your life is caught in their own head right now, please send them this video. It might be exactly what they needed today.